Quran says creation after creation, He created in successive stages. That seems to go against the norm of societal understanding then. So that's impressive. So Quran is talking about something that is quite impressive during its time, because now we know this is the case. It wasn't the case then. When the Quran describes in detail, now if it describes, oh, it's a gastrula, it's a morula, it's a blastocyst, do you know what they are? Right. If I told you this is how the process is, you'll get confused yourself now in 21st century. Which day is it today? 5th of August 2018. You get confused if the Quran describes. So you would expect Allah to describe it in the Quran in a terms that people don't get confused, even on the 7th century. Yeah? So what are the descriptions?
It's still very vague.
No, that's the claim you're making. Let's deal with this subject.
It's vague.
But I'm going to show you that it's not vague. Okay, let me allow to develop it. So when the Quran says that Allah created man from nutfa, the word nutfa is like something like a drop-like formation, drop-like. So whatever remains from the bucket, a drop. So if you have in your hair a lot of water and it's dribbling and dropping, that amount of drop, that's called the nutfa, right? The drop. So within itself, word nutfa, there seems to be a connotation of like a drop, something like a spherical appearance of it. And that's what we know of the first appearance of when the egg and the sperm meet and they start forming a fertilized product. Okay, that stage when the Quran alludes to it actually fits like this. This is what it is. It actually looks like a drop. So that is not vague. That is quite very precise. Now, can you actually see a human embryo when it's a drop-like stage? You can't see it. You need a microscope. So to call it like it's like a very spherical drop-like stage is very precise, not vague, because you could have been something like this, elongated like this. You could have used the word like this, right? It didn't use that. It used the word something like that, elongated like the shape of a leech in the step later. From this nutfa came alaqa, and alaqa is described something elsewhere like having the appearance of teeth marks. Mudgha later like a chewed substance. And this is what we see. I mean, these are like all microscopic. And then you can see that this formation of embryo, the appearance looks like that. So you are saying that this man may have been really a person just opening up babies, but you can't see them anyway if you even open up karam. So the descriptions that are given, which in a layman's term, that oh yeah, it looks like a mark of a teeth there. This is how it looks like with somites. I'm giving you terms. I mean, next time I should bring pictures, right? It will take time to put it up, but that's how they are. And then it says partly formed, partly unformed. And then we know in one of those steps when it says this is when the hearts are developing, but the other parts are not. So exact stage of description when the human embryo goes into a formation where some of it is formed and some of it is forming. And this is what the Quran describes. And then how this is then becoming engulfed with flesh. So the bones are forming and the clothes then engulf this bone. And this is what happens. You have the ligaments forming and the muscles form and touch these ligaments, and muscles engulf and clothe the bones. And then it creates another creation after that, because what happens after that stage, the human beings straighten up from this very curved structure to very straight and so on, and development of everything else is like another creation. And this is how the Quran describes. So even though it's using terminology which is understood by a layperson and to a professor of embryology, the description is very precise. So Quran is not claiming that, oh, this is something a proof for itself. What the Quran is actually saying on those verses, you doubt that God will resurrect you in the day of resurrection? Consider this. He created you like this, and He will recreate you again. So He is showing that this is how He created you. Would it be difficult for Him to create again if He tells you this is how I've made it? Now we know this is how the human beings are actually developing within their womb of a mother in these processes. So if someone is able to describe that this is exactly how it's done, then I know that person clearly knows how he's done it. and he's going to do it again, showing the ability of God. So not to show somehow some people think, oh, God is teaching you science. No, God is addressing a particular argument. People are saying, what? When we are dead and rotten bones, we're going to resurrect to be again? God is saying, yes, even to the very tips of your fingers. Another argument provided. What's so special about the tips of your fingers?
That was used. That line was used that line was mentioned when people are in when people are in hell and stuff and they're burning, and they said that I've heard that this is guy on YouTube who this is a speaker on YouTube who said that the Quran predicted like pain receptors in fingers and stuff because when you're in hell, it says in the Quran that when the skin burns off, they'll make you more skin to make you feel the pain again. Like not only is that pretty like ridiculous in and of itself, like that's pretty cruel in and of itself.
That's the whole idea. It's actually quite cruel, meaning it's a horrible punishment that we should avoid. That's the idea.
They can infer that the Quran predicted pain receptors from adding skin to make you feel pain again. But like if you hurt yourself, you can feel, anyone can feel this. If someone punched my arm or something, like grabbed my arm, so I know it hurts there, right? You can identify where this thing is without knowledge of pain receptors. So there's no reason to believe that the Quran predicted pain receptors, because you can obviously, like, it's observable to any normal human being. If I'm punched in my leg and I feel my leg, that's pretty obvious. There's something there there's something in my leg where I've seen somebody punch or somebody kick or somebody do something to make me feel that there's something there. The Quran didn't predict something that there wasn't there.
Yeah, but what you're dealing with, again, you're dealing with the strawman argument type argumentation. People making claims when they should be making claims. They're saying this is a prediction. And you're saying, but that doesn't look like a prediction, that means that's not. But leave all this aside, leave all the polemics that have been associated with these descriptions associated with from the Bible, the Quran and so on. Let's look at the text itself. Quran is saying, when people are in hellfire being punished, what is happening? God will recreate the skin so that they feel the punishment. Right. Now you might find, maybe there's no reason for mentioning this, but actually now we understand and appreciate why this process is, because you might have someone who say, you know what, God burns my skin. Once I go into hellfire, I'm not going to feel pain again. That's it. He was going to outsmart God. God burns him in hellfire, and he says, look, and then you know what's going to happen? I will no longer feel any pain, because once my skin is gone, I'm not going to feel any pain. No. Let's understand something. Let's forget the polemics, right? But let's understand the text of the Quran, how profound it's delivering its message with the evidence associated with it. Quran is saying God will punish those individuals who deserves to go to punishment in hellfire. He punishes them, and he says this is the mechanism of how he's going to punish them. Someone will say, look, suppose he wasn't like this and says, oh, God's going to punish me in hellfire, he's going to burn me, I'm not going to feel any pain. Someone will come up with that because they know that pain receptors are actually in the skin, right? Pain, pressure, touch, the sensory receptors that's there just underneath your skin. But what God is reminding them, and us too as well, that you can't outsmart God. When you go in hellfire, when your skin are burnt, you're not going to say that's the end of your feeling the suffering of pain. God will put new skin. As long as they're roasted through, you'll feel fresh skin. Again, this process happens. So you feel the constant pain, because that's the punishment that people deserved. Okay? So what the Quran did here, it delivered the message and proved its message at the same time, that the pain will continue by this mechanism. So if somebody comes along and says, oh, this is about predicting our pain receptors, and then say, so this is not a prediction because it's common sense to know that, I would not go into that. I would say, look, it's amazing how the Quran, the author of the Quran, deals with people's thinking and thought processes where they think like, okay, I'm going to be punished and I'm not going to feel any pain. Even that is covered. Yeah. So the mechanism is illustrated there so that people have no excuse in saying, oh, you know what, I'll have something there, you know, maybe I will enjoy my life. So you don't have to say this is a predictive power of anything, but at least it illustrates the Quran knows, the author of the Quran knows that the pain that people will feel is to do with something that is within the skin. Right?
But then again, I can observe that too. If I wanted to make up a religion, like if you see how fire works, that tree, I can burn that tree and that tree will disappear. Right? I apply the same logic to human beings. I can burn up a person and that person will burn out. Right? Therefore, I can assume from that, I can literally make this up myself. Right? I can make this up and say, I'm going to put more skill on you to make you feel the pain. It's not like that's not a thing that only God would able to know. It's any work with fire at any time, which they definitely would have used to have to make food and stuff like that. They would have to use some kind of fire source. You can easily infer from how fire works, observantly to normal people, that once something's burned out, it's not going to be there anymore. Therefore, I can make up a story being like, when you're in hell, I'm going to put more skin on you to make you burn. It's not
so from your common sense,
the reproduction one was actually not bad. Like it's actually pretty good. How people would know that. Like obviously it's not specific as
how do they know something looks like a leech?
Obviously it's not specific as I want it to be, but it's good. It's pretty good. But there's things like that one about the whole hellfire thing that anyone.
Okay, right. So when someone burns, do they not feel pain?
Yeah, they do.
Okay. So so did you know that when you burn too much, you don't feel pain anymore? How would you arrive to that conclusion? Have you experienced it yourself?
You would be able to. If I burn out and then I continue.
Have you ever burnt and you don't feel pain?
I've never experienced it.
Okay, so
you can imagine from anything burning out, like a tree or grass, that it won't exist anymore. And
how do you know?
What we know about skin.
But are you not already juxtaposing or presupposing the knowledge that you have of pain receptors today already and imposing it backward? Then it's a common sense.
Yeah. You are doing the same thing about your God thing. You're saying that your God definitely exists. And
you're arguing differently. Let's deal with one point at a time. Let's only one point at a time. Let's deal with one point at a time. So now, talking about the feelings of pain. 100, 200 years ago, are you saying it was common sense for people to know everywhere, because common sense is everywhere, right? Every culture, or most cultures, whether they're civilized with technology, and I shouldn't use the word civilized, technologically advanced or not, they knew that actually, if you burn too much, then you will feel pain. It was common sense to everyone.
Not really.
Did you know that yourself?
I would be able to infer that, yeah. I'd be able to infer.
How would you infer that if you actually burn too much, you won't feel any pain?
If something doesn't exist anymore.
What doesn't exist?
If anything that's been burnt and doesn't exist anymore, then that thing.
No. If you look like this, first degree burn, second degree burn, third degree burn, right? So when you have, let's say, a burn which is just like a scalding, and you've got a blister, and then something more than a blister, you can see the fat. Others, you can actually see your bones, right? This is how all of it is right now. Obviously, you personally haven't experienced it yourself. And God forbid that you experience it, okay? May God protect you and preserve you. Right. So, when you have this burning, you feel touch, sensation, and so on and so forth. How, without knowing about pain receptors, how do you know that when something is burned too much, that the feeling of pain won't be there?
Because you know it's there and you put your arm there.
That's touch.
Exactly. You know it's there from feeling the fire.
No. You know it's there, but how do you know the fire has taken that away?
Because you.
Where is it? Where are the pain receptors?
Take them what away?
If a fire burns your skin, now, not knowing where the pain receptors are, is it in the muscles or the subcutaneous fat, or is it in the skin?
I don't know. I just know it's in that general area.
Right. So where is it?
I don't know.
If the skin burns, just the first skin layer, let me ask you this question for genuinely finding from you. If just the skin burns, can you feel pain if I were to poke a needle through?
Probably, yeah. If you put hot.
No, skin is gone. Skin is gone.
Oh.
The skin is gone. Can I, if I put a needle through, can you feel pain?
No, pain receptors, maybe not.
Hang on, you don't know about anything about pain receptors. Your knowledge is common sense, not about science. So you don't know where the pain receptors are.
I mean, you probably think that you would be able to, but
do you see the point?
Pain receptors there,
No. We have no knowledge. In this discussion, it's common sense. We don't know anything about pain receptors, where they are just underneath the skin or in the subcutaneous fatty tissues, or actually in depth in the muscles, right, themselves, or actually in the bones, maybe, or in the blood vessels. Where are the pain receptors? Because, you know, when I touch something, my brain registers this, right? If I cut off the signal, does that mean I don't feel pain? And there are a lot of discussions about pain, right? How we experience pain. So, at what point we don't feel pain anymore? What does common sense tell you? If you have a burn, you can see just the skin is gone, but you can see the fat underneath. Or if you have a burn that you can see only too much burn, very much, not first degree, third degree burn, where you can see like muscles itself and so on. What point you don't feel pain? Common sense can't tell you that. So when the Quran describes this, common sense you can apply. You don't know what the answer is, because if common sense were able to answer that question, that where pain receptor is, then you would know, everyone else would know, your mom would know, maybe you would know at what point you will feel pain or not. Quran is saying, as you are burned, and this burning, the hellfire is much stronger than the fire here, but you're not going to be totally roasted where you become like ashes. No, that's not the whole mechanism of punishing. God will punish you where people will burn and their skin will be roasted, but a fresh skin will be provided. Why? So that their punishment continues. It's very harsh. That's the punishment. And Allah says, okay, don't be of the people of hellfire. Avoid going there. Avoid being punished. Okay? Don't go there. Do the actions of paradise. Okay? So it's not questions about cruelty, it's the question about justice. Some people, because of justice, they will end up in hellfire. Okay, so we have talked about two examples. One is about the creation of human beings, whether it's accurate or correct or vague, and talked about the processes where when Quran says, oh, he created you from water, he created you from sperm that is emitted, he created from something clinging, he created from a drop. These are processes Quran highlights at different places for a specific reason. Sometimes it gives you the whole process, sometimes it highlights the process. When I say, I make cake from flour, am I incorrect? Of course, cake is made from flour. If I say I make from flour and water, it's correct too. So it's just highlighting which part. Sometimes you may have the important part highlighted, sometimes the whole detail is given because of need. When the Quran says, we created you from water, because the importance of water is given. Allah says, he created you, not you, every living thing from water. Now let's look at common sense now. Quran was given to a prophet, a man who is living in a desert. There's hardly any water, right? Hardly any water. And then he's been told every living thing is from water. He sees cactuses. There's no rain. There's no water. And that's alive. And the Quran says every living thing is from water. How does anyone say, how can he be from water? Okay? So, did he know very microscopic organism deep down a dead volcano or underneath the oceans? He hasn't seen them. It's impossible without the technological advancements. But yet the Quran says every living thing is from water, and that's what we know. Living cells, more than 70% is water. We know this today because of our scientific advancement.
Very obvious though.
How is it obvious?
If you're someone in the desert, you would even be more aware of that if you live in the desert. If you live in the desert, you don't have water. You need to drink water. This is always been there.
Now that's to sustain life. But to made from water?
Exactly, but you'd be able to infer to suspect you're going to have to drink the water to sustain your life, imply that you were made from it.
It doesn't logically follow. Just because you need to sustain yourself, to quench your thirst with water, that you actually made from water. Are you made from food? You have to take in food, right? Are you made from food?
I know,